Welcome, welcome. I'm just going through and making sure this is actually going to do the things. Alright, there's definitely a lag between StreamYards and YouTube. But yeah, so that is most of what's going on here today. Now, how do I... Now, like I said, I'm learning as we go here, so now I have to learn how to see the chat. And if I can do that in the StreamYards actually. StreamYard Studio. Haha! There we go. Alright, so yeah, there's a bit of a lag between this and YouTube. New place. Same place, just new backdrop, new studio. This is actually a proper folding futon. New headphones. I have been able to put together a lot while I haven't been streaming. So yeah. No, same place. I wanted to put some of the samples up on the wall behind me. And yes, it is in slow mode. That's just so I have a chance to respond to any trolls and whatnot, because I'm still learning how all this goes together. Okay, that is not... Alright. I don't think I need that. Cool. So no, same apartment, just like I said, what I've done is this is now a folding futon, rather than the bed that I was kind of awkwardly perched on before. And I have words. Good morning! Anyway. A little bit of housekeeping. So I am using StreamYards today. As you can see, it's got the Kevin. That is because I'm on the free version right now, and then we will go from there. Basically, I am learning how to do this because it's gonna have some learning curves. That's what we're up to today. So I'm going to be streaming for an hour. I'm going to start with once an hour, Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're going to see how that goes, and yeah, I'm still learning how everything goes. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. I don't have the second camera running right now because I haven't figured out how to run it with camera in Streamlabs yet. It's called StreamYards, but yes, their icon is a duck. There's a couple downsides to this. I'm also not operating Chrome anymore, because Chrome doesn't, so basically Chrome changed some things and all the ad blockers don't work anymore, and I was like, I'm not dealing with that. So I'm actually in Firefox, which means that my current captioning setup I was using for Twitch no longer works. So I have to figure that one out still. I will be, on YouTube, I will be editing, captioning and sort of timestamping these, to basically show people sort of what I was talking about. Yeah, so yes, welcome to the new streaming setup. This is still kind of making it up as I go and learning how all this, but this is I want to call it Streamlabs. It's StreamYard. Oh, did I lose my internet? Alright, but that. StreamYards was recommended to me as an alternative to Streamlabs and OBS and stuff, and it's much more user-friendly, so yay, there's that at least. And, yeah, that is basically what we're doing today. Yes, I am back. I am back to streaming. And I'm actually excited to be back, so that's gonna hopefully be pretty fun. So the way I'm gonna run these is it's gonna be basically an open Q&A. You can come in, you can ask questions about a pattern, you can ask questions about how I'm trying to do this stitch, and what I can do in StreamYards is pull in other videos and be like, oh, someone's got it isn't even mine. Let's say someone asks a tutorial and I'm like, oh, I know Very Fake Knits a tutorial on this. I can pull that into this video and show you. I'd have to cut it out of the replay for copyright purposes, that's fair. So that's what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a combination of Q&A, and then also if there are no questions coming in, then I will work on my things. So yeah, now where did the socks, where are the socks? box. Where did the menu go? Yeah. Okay. So this is the current project. It is a pair of spiraling star fingers. This is actually a commission piece. It's one of two. My other commission is in progress, but how hard is it to find zippers right now? I would not have expected one of the things that affected by the global supply line issues would be zippers, but yet here we are. So that particular commission is on hold until I find zippers that will do what I wanted to do. I'm looking for certain colors, and I'm also looking for a certain style of zipper, and it's been interesting. So, but no, I am back. I'm streaming again, and we're going to just see how this goes. So instead of having the command like we used to over in Twitch ages and ages ago, everything is linked in the video description down below. So you can get yarn links, needle links, hook links, tool links, all the other fun just sort of stuffs I have. And yeah, that is what we're looking at today. Yeah. So this is what we're working on today. The pattern is the spiraling star finger spins, which is linked in the video description down below. Can I grab a link for you, Patrol, please? I don't know. Let's find out. I can. Back streaming again. I have missed it. There we go. That is the pattern link. And yeah. Alright. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I should open the PDF, shouldn't I? That would make sense. Wouldn't it? Nope, that is not the right file. There it is. I just realized I hadn't pulled up the actual pattern PDF on the computer. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Like I said, it's still learning, still working on this. And I apologize for any weirdness that is going on, but hey. A couple other changes. Brain FM has finally, again, sent me their background music that I'm using. That's what's playing right now. Like, again, I can do this through StreamYard instead of complicated, weird screen sharing nowadays. Yay. Yeah. I need to be holding my mini here. 1 second, let me adjust myself and pull the camera forward a little bit to get a bit of a better look. There we go. So yeah, that it is the plan that I'm just going to be streaming and working on this. So it's exciting. I hope. So right now, you can't see it necessarily. I'm working on the thumb yet. I've actually already caught one error in the pattern. I forgot to add the count somewhere. So I'm going to have to add that to my notes of things to update when I have this pattern because I have forgotten my count. It's in the chart, but not in the written instructions. So I will have to fix that when I update. So just the usual time slot for this is going to be 1 to 2. And like I said, it's going to be show up, ask questions, my patterns for knitting in general. And like I said, one of the nice things I can do in Streamlabs is if I don't have a tutorial for this, which I don't, I'm still building my tutorial list, it's short. I can be like, oh, I know that Very Pink Knits or Marley Bird or someone else has a tutorial. I can literally put up a screen and share it with people, which is absolutely wonderful. Like I said, I couldn't replay it, copyright. I don't think they'd mind, but that's considered kind of bad form. I'd want to ask them first, and I might not watch again. YouTube will tell them. So one thing YouTube does is it will tell you. So if someone just has your video and it matches 100%, YouTube's AI is smart and goes, hey, this footage is identical to this footage. Something's going on here. And of course, at that point, then it's like, oh, well, honestly, I don't know if they find it or not. I'm not gonna have, I can't contact every knitting tutorial maker everywhere and be like, hi, can I use your footage? That's not practical. So, I may not be able to leave them a replay. That will be something that'll happen this time. And it's just reaching out to whoever I lift the tutorial from. But I can still do it on the live stream, and the erase will first post that way at least. Eventually I want to have a much larger reel of my own stuff as well, but that's okay. Yeah, Snowborn, it is good to see you. It's good to see you back here. It is exciting to be back streaming and to see some familiar faces back online. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So if this all goes well, I will consider paying for the Steam version of StreamYards. Actually, let me... Come on. Star Stitch is a lord, so that's always interesting. We'll call it interesting. So yeah, until I kind of build streamers and see if this is what I want to keep using. I'm going to be using the free version, and then I'll jump over to one of their paid plans. If I decide this is the way I want to go, and we'll say it's a lot easier than OBS. One thing I want to investigate that I haven't had the chance to dig into is how they work with captioning. So that is a consideration. Yeah. What I want to try doing with the next live stream is embedding it on Tumblr, of all places. I know of a Tumblr, by the way. It's Turd on Design, same as everywhere, pretty much. And what I can do, I think, is do what I did as a Patreon, which is you can watch it from Tumblr. I think the embed will work that way. So yeah, that's exciting. And then, yeah, there's the plan. StreamYards also offers a multi-stream option that I might look into as well. If I was multi-stream to Twitch, I lose my affiliate status, but I am so done with Twitch. They've about this not impressed me, which is now why I'm over here on YouTube, because Twitch is at this point imploding, and a lot of Twitch creative has unfortunately seems to have left Twitch for other platforms, which is sad because it was an amazing little community, but a good number of people are now streaming on YouTube or just streaming on other platforms, and yeah. So, sad. Okay. Yeah, there is that. There may be a way to do that for via StreamYards. I have to look into seeing what I can do with things like channel points and whatnot. I'm also going to see if I can use Stream Elements that way as well, because they were what was supporting. They had their own point system as well. So that may be possible. This is kind of bare bones. Can I make this work? And then if I can make this work, I'm going to try and reproduce some of that. It was ridiculous and kind of fun. But it is nice to be back streaming. I'd forgotten how much I missed it until I was here and streaming and being like, oh yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna try something. Again, this is me learning StreamYards on the fly. So enjoy and watch the chaos. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna try and share the pattern, the PDF pattern. This one is no problem with mine. So we're gonna go present, share screen. Success! So this is the pattern that I'm working on. It's actually this page. I need to be on the right page. No, there it is. But if you'll notice, there's a glitch. So the glitch is that here. Here's the last round, hit 28/32 for different sizes. And then at round 13, which is the next round of the thumb gusset, or the next increase round of the thumb gusset, there's no stitch count here. No, don't scroll. Bad. There's no stitch count. It's in the chart, in the red repeats down here. So I'm gonna have to do that math when I get there. And the same thing is true for round 17. So this is getting fixed when I update the pattern. If you have the pattern, look at the chart repeats and just count the stitches that way. It'll require a little bit of math. And if you're stuck, just email me and I'll update this for you. But yeah, I noticed this. So whoopsies. And that's a typo and a glitch that just made it past the testers. And past my tech editor. It happens occasionally. So this is going on to the list of, oh crap, I need to update that. So yeah. So when I get to round 13, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of finagling to count these stitches and make it all work. So we're gonna come back to this now. Ah, there we go. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I didn't stream for a while because I was sick, and then Twitch started uploading, and I'm like, I don't really want to get back involved with this. They started being stricter about what affiliates could do. The ad situation got untenable, and also at that point I didn't have functional headphones and a functional mic. So putting all that together, that's why I have been streaming for a while, and now I'm back. So yeah. It also means I actually have better studio space, so story time. I was originally streaming with a Peg and a Twitch, just sitting on my bed, and that caused some problems. Now, this is a proper futon. I eventually want to do like a desk and setup. Right now, I've got the laptop camera balanced on a big tote of yarn. I kid you not. Yeah. And this is a new headset. This was my Christmas gift. Was a high-quality professional headset from somebody who uses it for dictation for their job. They were like, "This is good. Here's your headset." I'm like, "Oh," because they knew mine had died. So that was what this was. And thank you. I'm actually glad my streams are chill. That's kind of the point. Like, yes, it's like come in and talk and we can geek over knitting and you can ask questions, but it's also like just supposed to be hang out and chill. It's fun. I do have slow mode enabled simply because I don't have a good grasp on StreamYards and the YouTube live streaming platform yet, and so I don't want a situation where I have to respond quickly and can't, just in case some troll decides to stumble in. Okay, I've got a bit of a tangle. Fix this. This is, as you can see, an incredibly fine yarn. This is Cobbler Boy. The yarn is from the Frogger Niagara, and it's beautiful. This is like that. Okay. This is the problem with it. No. This is 100% cashmere. This is 100% play. However, I'm occasionally losing my internet. I do apologize if that happens to you. The internet is still being affected. So, yeah. The thing is, with this yarn, I love it. On the one hand. On the other hand, it snaps so easily. Now, this is not. I'm not blaming the. So, let me back up. Frogger Niagara. Frogger Niagara's thing is they take sweaters and they unravel them. And they sell the yarn that's unraveled. So that means you can get things like cashmere for very cheap because they're coming unraveled. And so, yay! So, you said it is that sort of yarn, especially in like knit jerky, is incredibly fine. This is cobble. This is thread weight. This is like one beyond those. I can snap this with just a little bit of a tool in my hand. So the way that would work more basically is that if I go into the kind of YouTube pod scene, I can put in some search tags like things like knitting and crochet and that sort of thing. And the other thing is that YouTube does push live stream. So if someone is like has a search up for like knitting and something, I might show up using how exactly he works the search line out. That is how YouTube works that in a simpler solution. The live streams are actually categorized the same way YouTube's search categorizes normal video on demand. So I can drop, I can, like I said, I didn't do it for this one. I also getting everything organized. What I could do is, again, go into the YouTube tags behind the scenes and put in, like, tags with a certain thing on the video of, like, hey, this is that. That's how the YouTube at least handles live streaming. It is a little different than Twitch. It's better in terms of search, but worse in terms of having defined categories. If that makes sense. YouTube is weird. YouTube is a very weird thing sometimes. So, this here, like I said, the link in the video description is an affiliate link. This is problems I would know. But yeah, that is one warning. It is very, very fragile. I'm a kite knitter. I have snapped this so many times. But again, it's cobweb weight, and that is standard for a finer gauge sweater that's freshly knit. So I'm not at all surprised. So yeah, that is how I've been actually doing research, like how you works, and it's actually really kind of fascinating in a weird way. So there's 2 stitches here, which is the start of the row, because we have to shift our pattern up to make all this work. So the one thing I can't do is camera on camera. That is on a paid plan of StreamYard. So I won't be doing that for a little bit until I decide whether I want to stick with StreamYard. Cobweb is 1 below lace. I've seen it defined as cobweb and thread weight. It is 1 below lace. It is ridiculous. And I thought I'm working this actually held 4 together. Yeah. Because hang on, I'm gonna test out something in StreamYard as well here. So 1 second, let me finish my pattern repeat with these, and then I will. So there's a way to do this. Let's see. Show. Aha! See, I can do this now, which is cool though. So yeah, cobweb is Ravelry has it listed. Yes, I know Ravelry has it listed as 1 below standard lace weight, and it is that fine, that very, very fine. It is almost thread weight, and it's ridiculous. Some types of crochet cotton fall into that weight as well, and it's absurd and really, really challenging because it does snap very easily, and I tend to put a lot of tension on my yarn. So yeah. That being said, this is something where, like, once you realize that, then you just gotta work with it. So that's why I'm working this that I held 4 at a time, because otherwise it was snapping too much to be feasible. Which is my error as buying the yarn for this. But first, this was a creation. So it's like, well, this is the yarn my customer requested, so I gotta make it work. So I actually ended up holding that. It's actually held 4 at a time. So I have 3 balls, and I have 1 ball that's the center and outside pull, another 2 are both outside pull, and I'm working it that way. And that actually works. It was working like just fine. If one of the strands snaps, I just add it in and keep going. The inside has so many ends. I will be doing a lot of end weaving. But oh, okay. Hang on, I got another question again. Simply answer this. I can do this now. I was wondering why you use weight that multiple strands together would. Okay, usually yes. Usually you're absolutely right. If you have you use yarn weight, go get a specific yarn weight. It will save you trouble. That means that the few reasons why not. One, if you put 2 very different yarns together, you can get some really interesting effect. You commonly see this mohair, so you'll run a strand and something else, and it changes the look of the yarn because you've got the fuzziness of the mohair with whatever else your main yarn is. So that's one of them. Another one where I've done it, and I don't have the sample at hand, unfortunately. Story time. I made the mistake back when I was a beginning fledgling knitter, buying black alpaca lace that I got on sale. I regretted this decision almost immediately because it was impossible to work with. It was fuzzy and fluffy and it was black, and I couldn't see my stitches worth a damn. So what did I do with it? It languished my stash for about 5 years, and then I stranded it with a really brightly rainbow-colored gold yarn, and it looks amazing. So there are points where you do want to double strand your yarn that way. In this case, this was just because this is the yarn my customer used, and I knew that let me get a cup. So when I approached my customer, they were both interested in the idea of a reclaimed yarn. And so when I looked at the Frogger Niagara, they didn't have fingering weight pattern. They had lace weight pattern. So sometimes it's necessity. Sometimes you just double up and triple up because that's what you have to have on hand. If you're stash knitting, or again in this case, because the Frog Niagara is drawing from what's already available. They're not making the yarn, they're claiming it from Cutter. So they didn't have any fingering weight cashmere in the colors the customer was looking for. So I thought, okay, I will double up lace weight to get something close to a fingering weight. So there's that option as well. If you're working in your stash, you're constrained by other variables with what yarn choices you have. Generally, though, if you are buying yarn for a project, you're gonna just want to buy whatever it gives you because it does make your life easier. I hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, let me know. This is the point of the stream. In this case, I started it out in the circle, and it was still snapping, and it wasn't meeting gauge. I had a horrible time getting this to do what I wanted to, because it meeting gauge and creating fabric that was working for the pattern. So I ended up adding triple and then quadruple, and that's when I got a weight that I liked, a fabric that I liked, and something that wasn't giving me a headache because it was constantly snapping. So yeah. That's the one thing. If you're going to get yarn from this seller, be aware that the lace weight is incredibly fine. I would call it goblet. And that's not their fault. That is the nature of modern commercial sweater knitting. Because a knitting machine doesn't care. In fact, knitting machines do better with really super fine yarn. It's how we get knit jersey. The jersey fabric, I mean. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I think this goes away now. Yeah. But that is why you might use multiple strands together. Usually, like I said, usually it's a color thing, so that you're pairing off two different colors, or you're working with what you already have, or it's specifically to pair off, for a specific effect. But yeah, unless you're looking for one of those three things, you're absolutely right. Make your life easier, and don't do what I did, and use whatever weight of yarn the pattern recommends. The other advantage of yarn doubling is that if you're working specifically with stash because you're on a limited budget or something like that, or you use up something because you ended up with like odds and ends, you can often use yarn doubling up to get. Let's say again, if you've got two fingering weight yarns, that'll get you somewhere between a DK to a worsted, depending on exactly the weights. And so it means it's like, oh, I actually do have enough to do this project if I double up these yarns instead. Especially because a lot of lace weights means come in lots and lots of yarn. Like I've got lace weights that means over 1,000 yards of yarn. So even if you double them, that's 500 yards. That's enough for a pair of mittens or something like that. So it's an option to extend what you can do with your yarn stash. But unless you're trying to do that, where you really fall in love with, let's say, a beautiful lace color and that dyer doesn't have it in fingering, yeah. Yeah, that is the babbling about doubling and tripling up yarn. Actually, and then speaking of, I'm going to show you. There is an artist who that's their thing. They work by doubling, tripling, and quadrupling yarn. They are a fellow member of the Toronto Knitters Guild, which is how I know their work. I just gotta pull up their webpage. 1 second. They're also the artist behind the Knitting Pilgrim, so hang on. Let me pass this up. So that's Kirk Dunn. That is the Knitting Pilgrim. So the Knitting Pilgrim is basically I think they're 24-foot knit stained glass pieces. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the thing is, it's also part of a very a one-person play. Now, the thing is, those were all knit holding 3 and 4 strands of yarn together, and then he changed one color at a time to get some of the effect you're seeing in that stained glass. It's absolutely gorgeous. So again, there are purposes to this. I got into the Toronto Knitters Guild. Wonderful, wonderful human, by the way. And yeah, that is done by holding multiple strands of yarn together because it's so huge. I think they're 24 feet. The stained glass pieces, it took them years. It's absurd, and ridiculous, and glorious. And yeah. So that is another example of what you can do artistically if you want to vary up your skeins and work multiple yarns together. I do not have the patience for that. I took one look at his work and went, that's beautiful, but oh god, I would not have the patience for that. Yes, and I know, male knitters are sorely underrepresented. There we go, that's the word I want. So yes, I think also seeing another male knitter is just really nice. Especially someone who's making this their actual artistic living. Yes. Yes, please, yes. Knitting is a professionally dominated, female-dominated space, which is actually a little weird. Because I'm going to tangent for a bit on that, because no, it isn't, it isn't. If you look at the figures in the front of the knitting spaces, it's very, very skewed female. If you look at the companies that are running some things, like the heads of like KnitPicks and it's Red Heart for sure, they're actually often run by male CEOs. So there's a weird quirk on that one. But that being said, just that representation of actually seeing a guy out there knitting and making it his job, yes please, absolutely. Yes, I don't remember Crafts Americana, but I know Red Heart's current president is male. And that's the thing. But yeah. But on the more front-facing, hi, I'm a knitter doing the things side, you're right, we have very, very few male knitters out there. And those that are often, I think, okay, tangenting again here. I think a lot of men who knit, get attention for the wrong reasons. Because they kind of get put up on a weird freaky pedestal as being men who knit. Which, yes, representation, but sometimes then they get a lot of, I've spoken to a couple of male knitters who have so much pressure put on them, because, oh my god, you're the guy who knits, you have to do all the things. No, I just want my hobby. So there's that problem as well, that if you are a man who knits, you the attention you may not want. So yeah, that's the other half of that. I have seen the internet go a little wild over men who knit, and it's honestly kind of creepy in some cases. So, yeah. So I am absolutely thrilled to see somebody who this is their job, this is their artist. Their artistry is beautiful, and we're getting that representation. And that means that hopefully, I'd like to see that hobbyist nail knitters are now not going to hopefully less swamped with stupid questions. I have thoughts on gender. I think many of you know this. I have many thoughts on gender norms because they are usually pretty foolish. Okay, so what's happening here is I have to get through all three of these stitches, and I've just snugged it up because of the so this is where I have switched over my magic loop, and because of that I snugged up this stitch pretty tightly, and now I have to get in there to make that tension work, or to make tension work. Because it's tight, it's a little bit hard to get through all three stitches to make the star stitch. You should want, yes, absolutely you should. YouTube is your friend. Yes, absolutely. I keep forgetting I can pull up comments now. Yes, absolutely you should. YouTube is your friend if you don't have access to a local yarn store or a friendly knitting teacher. YouTube is your friend. And plug for anyone watching as well, I also offer classes, so I can do virtual classes too. So, but yeah, if you don't want to invest in a knitting class and you're just sort of like, I don't know, yeah, YouTube is your friend, and yeah, go learn the basic stitches from YouTube or from other groups. Hang on, I'm gonna throw some people at you. Yep, exactly. Most people can do most things if they have the mind for it. And sometimes you just need to do it a different way, or maybe a different way. But most people can do most things if you've got the mind and the impetus to try. Okay. If you're interested, I'm gonna toss. Let's Google. Number one person that I tell you, people, there's two basically spots that I will send people if they want to learn to knit. Very Big Knits. Come Come on. No, behave yourself. Thank you. Let me pull up this. So Very Pink Knits does a whole slew of the best YouTube tutorials out there. Like, Very Pink tutorials are what I want to be one day. I'm not there yet. They are amazing. I linked to some of them in some of my patterns. Absolutely wonderful tutorials. They have demystified a lot. They taught me how to do entrelac and purl, and they've explained a lot about pick up knit. They go into some of the more unusual things too. It's how I learned lifted increases. So yeah, that is the homepage of I don't know how to do the thing. The other one that I just said, I linked them. I know I've talked about them before. Come on. Is Tin Can Knits that I'm just grabbing a link for. Tin Can Knits, they are basically really beginner-friendly patterns. So Tin Can Knits things is there's some free patterns up there. There's patterns, they have the simple collection, which is what I'd actually suggest once you know the basic stitches. Come on. No, load. Load, curse you! I'm streaming, my internet's just like, yeah, what bandwidth? What bandwidth? I'm sorry the camera bobbles. It bobbles because it's a laptop cam, so whenever I type, it's gonna move. Those are all free. Again, don't pay money if you don't know if you're going to stick with it. Let's start out on something free, right? That is the Tin Can Knits Simple Collection. Once you've got your basic stitches mastered, like I'm talking really basic, knit, purl, knit two together, poke some of those because they'll also have a lot of tutorials and the links in there as well. And pull that up. And that is another one that I would absolutely recommend to anybody who wants to get into knitting. Yeah, that's the thing. I've done a couple pieces from the Simple Collection, and they are a lot of fun. What did I do here? This is not right. I don't know. Something is not right with these stitches. Let's see. I'm gonna go back. This is what I get for trying to knit and type at the same time. Alright, I'm not 100% sure what I broke, but I broke something because I can see the pattern's a little weird. So. Oh, I have to go a bit further back. I'm not exactly sure where I lost that. Alright, I've got to frog a little bit because I have messed up the stitch pattern by one. So my stars are not lining up properly, so I have to go back. This here is a little tricky to frog, it's a little fuzzy, but it's doable. You just gotta be careful with it. I find it easier to work at it from the back, which is a little weird. For that now. Why do you do that sometimes? I think that's an internet thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a look and see what on earth. Okay, I think I know where I messed up. We're gonna find out. I think I put one too many stitches at the start of the row. Start of the round. So I think that is why I have to now go back. My stars aren't lining up so far. Yearning control. Oh, I love that. Yearning control Z. I love that. Yearning control Z. I love that. I've actually never heard it said that before, but I love it. Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, well, it's true. that's something I tell beginners who are always like, oh my gosh, I make a mistake. There are very, very few mistakes that are unsalvageable in the yarn world. Like, even if you cut your yarn, you can just splice it or tie it in and keep going. Like, that's fine. If you don't have enough yarn for one project, well, then you have to make another one, but you can still make something. There are very, very few salvageable mistakes in the yarn world. Most things will unravel. I mean, something really sticky like mohair might be a pain in the butt to unravel. It can be done. You might be sparring a lot, but like for a beginner, I wouldn't suggest mohair anyway, honestly, because of that. Because mohair and a couple like really sticky fibers, they are a pain in the butt to unravel. But yeah, like beginners who are like, oh my gosh, if I make a mistake, then you go back and you unravel, and the yarn is still perfectly usable. Okay. Which is one thing I love about the fiber arts is that it is that like just so yeah, no, you can salvage this. Okay, let me see. Alright, so this star is correct. So the way this pattern works is I'll switch back and I'll show you. Oh wait, I can't. Alright, we're gonna do another test of Streamlabs here, or StreamYard here. So if we go, no, I want you to keep scrolling this way. So the entire pattern is make star knit 1, make star knit 1. That is basically the whole pattern. Come on. The trick to that means that your knit ones all in the center of the previous star. And that's how you can usually tell if you're in pattern or not. That one row is make star knit 1, make star knit 1. Then it's a knit round row. And then it's another row of make star knit 1, make star knit 1. You just have to switch them up halfway. If that makes any kind of sense. I don't know if it does. Yeah, I'm just going to do this. That's why I can tell that I'm off the pattern because my star stitches were not lining up properly. One here? Alright, this one's fine. There. Alright, I don't know. It's fine now. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. Is working on this particular project, and then my next round, if I get to it, is because it increases, and it's done a little differently on this in pattern. You can actually see. You might be able to. See that right there? Oh. I'm trying to do this backwards facing you guys. There we go. See that gap? That is the gap that's left from a knit 5 increase. So the way this pattern's increases work is instead of doing gusset increases like on the other side of the thumb, kind of increase along here, it sits right here at the center I don't want to bend this way, the center, and just increases straight up here. And that was to keep them in pattern because it was a pain in the butt because I have to basically increase my 4 stitches at once in a single spot to make sure the star pattern isn't interrupted on the gusset. And so instead I'm increasing 5 stitches into 1. So it's front, back, front, and it can leave a little bit of a hole. I never figured a way around that. I guess you're not supposed to make such a similar mistake because it looks like it's fine now. I'm not sure how I messed that up, but I did. And then we're back to 6 now. So yeah. Other stuff coming up. I have a bunch of things that are still going. I am taking myself out of the hole. Being sick sucks. And things I'm getting my husband of and figuring out how to get into doing them. This being one of them, honestly. Streaming again. It was good. I didn't test positive on anything, but we're pretty sure it was COVID, and it was really not fun. It was basically a cold from hell. But the thing is, I had so much to do to catch up, but I'm still like catching up because I didn't have anybody to cover radiation days or anything, so I just didn't take like a month off. So yeah. I'm trying to get back in this thing of like just how do I schedule and do all the things, and I'm getting there. And occasionally ADHD brain decides, yeah, no, scheduling, what's that? But it is going. So this, once these are done, they don't need anything else. I have another commission that is pending zippers, because you would not believe how challenging it has been to find zippers that do what I want them to do in 2023. I'm kind of surprised. Or I have to order like 50, and I don't need 50, I need one. So that's the other commission, and my customers being very, very graciously quite patient. I have a sample that just went out to the to a magazine. Actually, those are our patrons who will be aware that there were adventures in this sample too. I had some sizing issues and blocked the new usual construction, and then I didn't realize that I can't priority ship samples. This brain goes, what is time anyway? Yep. I keep forgetting to do this. Time anyway. Exactly. Since our patrons, you see the behind the scenes post on that, because I was over the holiday weekend, the Easter weekend, and so priority shipping, there's been an intro to that. I'm not happy. I'm actually very much not happy because I paid to get guaranteed delivered on the 10th, and it was not. And the magazine is understandably like, hey, where's the sample? And I'm like, it's never been there. Oh, I'm displeased. So, that's all the adventures, and then so I have to work with them. They have the pattern, so once they get the sample, they're going to be photo shooting, but I have to be able to help the tech editor and whatnot, so there's that. I've got a couple other things that I'm committing to, and it takes that I call for more patterns in the independent design program, and so I'm putting those pieces together for that. And just a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just trying to clear like a bunch of things off Needle. I have a pile of various projects in Needle. Those who know me know this is exactly how I operate. With a bit of a bazillion things in Needle at once. And so I'm just slowly trying to clear things off the Needle as I can. The plan for today is after this, I have a workshop in 10 minutes. So I'm basically hopping off of this and hopping right back on the call. And after that call, I take advantage of the glorious weather and go grocery shopping. I might take the workshop outside too if it will cooperate with my mobile. So yeah, that is it what we're doing today. Wow, brain. Let's try talking again. So this is an interesting one because I had multiple things going at once. Let's start with the gloves, then I'll go back to the other thought. So this is an interesting one because the customer in question. Okay, first I've got a couple of billions here that I can basically said that because they wanted a shorter cuff, but they also had a wider cuff for the wrist. So I actually had to combine two sizes for this and work to decrease this hidden into the pattern to make this work. So I started on the size large, decreased down to the size medium at their request, because when I basically said the whole like, hey, send me measurements so that I can make this thing for you. That was what they gave me, and I said, okay, this is how I'm gonna have to do this. They shortened the cuff, and then they I can just cut these because the yarn is very thin. So the ends will fall through the back and it will not be broken. So yeah, that's one thing that I do is how to figure out how to hide the decrease in the star pattern, which was adventurous. why I know maybe a little bit there. Why I just cut the extra ends is because they'll fall to the back. But also, if let's say if it ends starts to wiggle free, it's 1 end out of 4. It can't go anywhere. So yeah, that's why. So like I said, I just hit the end of one of my strands. Now I'm just gonna work the next one just quite in. So that means even if let's say I lose one end, the fact is that like because there's 4 strands in here, it doesn't matter because the stitches will still hold together because there's 3 more strands. Alright. The intention of these streams is, like I said, a combination of here's what I'm working on, here's the cool stuff, I will babble at you about yarn, but also it's a chance for you folks to come in and ask questions, general knitting questions, pattern-specific questions, and the nice thing about StreamYard, and one of the reasons why I made the switch, if you are comfortable, by the way, hi, you will be recorded if you do this, so, and I'll take that answer again when it happens, you can actually come on the webcam yourself and be like, hi, this is my knitting, and show that on the webcam if you think it would help in getting answer to your question. Like I said, StreamYard lets me do that. And that's one of the reasons I made the switch, and that's one of them trying out their platform rather than staying with OBS or something else of that nature. So this one's a little tricky because the yarn, the star happens over the stitch marker. So what I do, so there's my stitch marker. Now, I try not to do this, but I still have a bad habit of putting my stitch markers and other notions in my mouth when I'm working. I try not to. It's a habit I've been doing for years, and I still haven't broken it completely yet, so hey. I try to put them down. It's just that I have to remember where I put them, because I'll put them down and I'll forget. So the way we do this one is we take the stitch marker out. We work the star across all the stitches. We slip one stitch back, and put the stitch marker back on the needle. Then we slip the stitch last stitch in place. So now, you've got the star stitch with the stitch marker right in the middle of it all, and that's just going to be do its thing. Any kind of pattern like this, you have to cut it out with your stitch marker. It's why this one is a locking stitch marker, but I found that it actually worked better over the needles for this. Alright, and that is the start of the next time. Since I have to math this because I actually had a pattern error, I'm not going to do that on stream. It is coming up on 2 o'clock here. I have 5 minutes before my next call. So, welcome to the Life of an Entrepreneur. Hi, good morning everybody. Good afternoon now. So I'm going to leave you folks. That is what I've been working on. This is my current commission piece. There are other projects on the needles as well. I have a lot of them. And depending on what else you might see here, you could see pattern writing, you could see other behind the scenes materials. But what you're probably going to see most is knitting and crocheting and then pattern writing and things like this. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So thank you everybody who's joined in live. Thank you to everybody who is watching in the replay. In terms of the replay, I will try to get this captioned. I'll try to get this captioned and timestamped, but there are absolutely no promises. I'm mostly relying on using autocorrect. It doesn't like knitting and crochet terminology. So it's going to take you a little bit to get this captioned and timestamped. And yeah, but that's what we're going to do. So with the replay, I do hope you enjoy. If you've got questions, comments, etc. I'm also working on getting the backlog of archived Twitch live streams that I have. I'm going to clip them up and put them up on YouTube as well. I'm going to edit out and stuff. That's what we do. They got nothing else. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I am planning to have this be the same time slot, which is 1 p.m. Eastern every Thursday. And again, come in, ask questions, come in and hang out, come in and hang out with your knitting, whatever you want to do. That's totally cool. You want to just on the background working and chilling, that's fine too. I'm just glad you're here and blast. Thank you for coming out with me today. Thank you for joining me today. If you're catching the replay, I hope you're enjoying, and I will catch you all next week, if not before. Now, how do I end the stream on StreamYard? Because this is all new. Not a video, it's about this podcast. Good, thanks everybody.